lift to your 2022 or newer Toyota Tundra and you've noticed that your current factory axles are stressed, they're starting to wear, or you've got an all-out failure on your hands, these ReadyLift high-performance CV axles are a mod that you should look into. Now, these axles are inspired by the TRD Pro Series axles and are specifically made for the off-road driver who's putting their truck through their paces and wants a reliable axle that they can count on and one that will work in lifted applications with no questions asked. Now, with being just the axles, it's also great if you want to customize your setup and pair this with a lift of your choice, or just replace the components that need it without having to swap anything else out. When lifting any truck with an independent front suspension, the CV axles can take a lot of the heat, being stressed at steeper angles and being limited in their movement, which ultimately causes accelerated wear and premature failure, especially in tougher driving scenarios. Now, this set, however, is a solution for that issue, being designed specifically for those lifted applications, flattening the angle of the joint for better operation, freeing up any limitations the suspension once had for better movement and a longer lifespan. Now, with the corrected geometry, this also helps add some stability back into your ride after lifting it, which can help make a difference in your driving experience and make it feel much more controlled and comfortable while you're driving. Now, again, the construction here is inspired by the factory TRD Pro design, taking the factory base model construction up a notch, made with durable materials and a larger diameter to handle the force of tougher driving conditions. Now, with that added strength, these also replace the factory style joint with a true CV joint, which helps with articulation in those lifted applications especially, and helps with the energy transfer, so there's not as much stress on this system compared to the true factory ones. Now, the axles also include TRD-inspired boots, clamps, and dust seals to help protect the joints on the inside, which keep them moving and operating properly and resist that premature wear and premature failure. This set of axles here is about $525, and I would say that it's pretty average in price for a pair. Now, when putting these up against others available, these are very unique in the fact that they are intended for off-road use or tougher driving styles and lifted applications, while others may consist of just a factory-style replacement or something similar. Now, this also just comes with the axles if you're not looking to be locked in a kit with upgraded axles or a kit that comes with other components, if you know you just need a set of HD axle shafts for your Tundra. Install here is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, so I definitely recommend having some mechanical experience before tackling this job, and if you do have that, it should take about 2 hours or so to install this with the right tools and setup. Now, ReadyLift also does highly recommend an alignment after the install is complete to make sure that there's proper wear and performance with this system, so just keep that in mind when it comes time to install this set. Now, at this point, I am going to hand it over to one of our installers. They're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how these bolt up to the Tundra, whether you're tackling the install yourself or you're just curious about the process. So that wraps it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into that install.
For this install, you'll need a couple different pry bars, a 1/2-inch impact and 3/8 ratchet, 1/2-inch extension, 39, 22, 19, and 10 millimeter Allen socket, 15, 16 and 7/8 wrench, a hanging tool, a hammer, mallet, needle nose pliers, and also not shown will be a lift and pull jack. All right, so we're gonna be installing some axles in our Tundra. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start off over here. We're gonna get access to our axle nut. So I'm gonna grab a little pry bar or chisel. Just get behind our dust shield here, hit that with a hammer and pop it off. All right, we're gonna continue along and pop out our cotter pin here. So we have our needle nose pliers. Just bend this back so we can pull this out. Take our cover off. Now we're gonna grab our impact, and we have a 39 millimeter 12-point socket. We'll take this nut off. All right, we just leave that loose on there for now while we get everything else unbolted. Next, we're gonna disconnect our sway bar length. We're gonna grab our impact and 19 millimeter socket. Take this off our lower mount. All right, this doesn't want to just slide off here, so we're gonna loosen up our top bolt. We gotta impact and 19mm socket. Should give us enough wiggle room to get everything off. All right, so now we're gonna get our bolt out from our lower strut mount. So we have our 7/8 wrench because I don't have a 22mm wrench. So I have my impact extension and 22mm socket. We're gonna take this bolt out. Now I do have a pole jack supporting under the rotor here, but we still have our ball joint attached, so it shouldn't go anywhere. Washer. All right, so let's go back to our impact 22mm socket and take our lower two bolts out of our ball joint here. So be careful how this is supported because it may fall or it may stay a little bit because of the rear bolts. All right, I'm gonna grab my 15/16 wrench and just loosen up our eccentric bolts a little bit. All right, we're gonna get a little leverage. Just loosen that up. Same thing on the other side. So again, just watch this so it doesn't fall. Swings out enough so we can get some movement in our knuckle. All right, so now we're gonna take our nut off of our axle. Now you may need to loosen up your axle by hitting with a dead blow just to break it out of the knuckle here. Ours is already loose. It was loose, just give it a little tap. You see it moving in and out there. Now since we have our tie rod still attached, it's pretty much supported. We're gonna see if we get enough room to push this out, which we do, so we can just let that hang off to the side like that for right now. All right, so you see I have our axle hung up with a hanger right now just to help pull it up out of the way. What we need to do now is you'll see these ridges on the inside of the axle. And grab a pry bar and a hammer. We're just gonna get in those ridges and smack it out. You may need to spin it and hit it at different angles. All right, so as you can see, we're leaking some fluid, so I got a bucket underneath to catch all the fluid. We will need to top this off after. I didn't know how much was actually gonna come out, but we're just gonna keep moving along, just keep tapping this out. All right, looks like we might be free. Get our axle off our hanger here. Go ahead and pull that out completely. All right, so now we're gonna get our new axle in. You just wanna make sure that you have the right axle, just match up the lengths. The shorter side will be on the driver's side. So we're gonna get our new axle. We're just gonna grab some of our diff fluid. Just wanna lubricate where it's gonna slide past the seal so you don't damage it. Can even do it on the spines a little bit. And just line this up in here. And get this into place. All right, we can just let that rest there for right now. All right, now I have a buddy here helping hold the knuckle all the way. We're gonna try to get this axle seated in. All right, now we're gonna pull our knuckle back and get this in. All right, we're just gonna get our new nut and just thread that on just to help hold this in place. We'll tighten it down later. We're just gonna get our lower control arm back into place. All right, so as you see, I have my pole jack under our lower control arm just to help get everything up in location. We're just gonna get our bolts started. So we can move some stuff around. This might take a minute to get everything lined up. They're all weird angles. got those started. We're gonna get our strut bolt in at the same time, just to make it easier before you tighten anything down. Washer and nut threaded on. We can go ahead and tighten all 3 of these down now. So we'll grab our impact and 22mm socket and start with these 2. Pop our extension on, 7/8 wrench. Tighten this down. All right, we're gonna grab our 15/16 wrench and just a little bit more leverage and just snug up our load control arm bolts that we've loosened. Same thing on the other side. All right, we're gonna reinstall our sway bar link. Just gonna find the right angle, get everything on there. You need to use pry bar. Thread our bolt on and our nut on the top. No, it's just make sure it's the right size. All right, we'll grab our impact and 19mm socket and tighten those 2 down. Now we're gonna go back to our impact and 39mm 12-point socket, tighten down our axle nut. Once we have that tight, we're gonna put our cover back on. We have our new supplied cotter pin. Get that through, make sure it's lined up so we can access that. Grab our needle nose pliers and go ahead and bend that back. Grab your dust cap and a mallet, tap that in place. Now once you have this side all put back together, you've got to repeat all those same steps for the other side of the truck. Now once you have both sides completed, you will have leaked out a significant amount of front diff fluid, so we are going to need to fill it. We're just going to tell you how to do it now because I do have to take these axles back out and we're going to leave more fluid. But you have your fill plug here and your drain here. We're going to grab a ratchet and a 10mm Allen socket. Just take this cap off. Just make sure you don't lose the washer that's there. Now you're gonna grab whatever fluid it is. I did not look up what type fluid it is. I think it might be 75, 85 weight, something like that. But you're gonna grab the right type of fluid, grab a funnel if you need to, fill that up till it's pouring out of this hole, let it drip till it stops dripping, and then just simply reinstall the cap, and then you're all set to go. Just go ahead and snug this back up, and you're all done. And that wraps up our install of our ReadyLift High Performance CV Axle Kit for our 2022 and newer Tundra. And remember, for everything Tundra, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.